All right, we've finally made it to the last skill of Unit 4, and this is where everything kind of comes together. So maybe a little bit longer lesson here just for the diagrams that we're going to have, but hopefully not too bad. I think we're already going to know most of the things that come up in this lesson. So 4.11, triangle congruence proofs. So if you have heard from some friends or family members about proofs, usually they happen in geometry class, and usually people dread them. But I think the way that we're doing them in here, it's not going to be so bad. So what a proof is it's a logical argument that guarantees a statement is true. So use proofs in your everyday life all the time. You're trying to prove things to your parents, prove things to your teachers all the time. You need evidence that what you're saying is true. So in this unit, we are doing proofs using the 5 shortcuts that we've been talking about, our side, 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 side angle, side, etc., to prove that two triangles are congruent. Okay. So I apologize for the amount of writing that is right here, but I just wanted to make sure that you had the same wording that's going to be both on your worksheet, on your mastery check, and then finally on the test. So what it's going to say is that for each pair of triangles, determine if they are congruent, and if so, give a reason. In other words, give a proof using one of our 5 shortcuts, and complete the congruent statement. If additional marks are needed, explain the reason. All right, so take a second here and draw this in your notes. And again, this is exactly the way that it's going to look on the test. So just wanted to make sure that you saw it the same way. So we are trying to see if triangle ABC is congruent to another triangle. So the other letters that we see there are D, and I guess just D is the other letter. So maybe BCD or something like that. So to do this, we need to use what we have already been using so far. So first thing that I would do is realize that these two triangles share a side. Okay, so we could add 2 extra marks there, and that's from the reflexive property. Okay, anytime 2 triangles share a side, that's reflexive property, and we can mark it from there. Okay, next thing I realize is that we're dealing with right triangles. Anytime we're dealing with right triangles, we should see if hypotenuse leg works. So if we look across from the right angle, there's a hypotenuse. It has 1 mark. Over here, across from the hypotenuse, or across from the right angle is a hypotenuse, and it has 1 mark. Okay, so we're off to a good start with hypotenuse leg. The other thing that we should check then is, do these right triangles have a leg in common? And absolutely they do. This side right here is a leg for both of our right triangles, and it's marked with 2 marks. So it's a leg on the left triangle, it's a leg on the right triangle. Okay, so yes, these triangles are congruent. The reason is hypotenuse leg, or HL for short. Now the last thing we have to do is complete that congruency statement. So if we went ABC, we went short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. We need to do the same thing for the second triangle. We need to go short leg, long leg, hypotenuse. So DCB, triangle DCB. Okay, you can't just randomly write down 3 letters. CDB, that wouldn't be correct. Make sure that you are going in the same order. All right, example 2, we are trying to prove that triangle XYZ is possibly congruent to another triangle. This time we're given that Z is the midpoint of actually 2 different things. So let's add those marks. So we're looking right here. Z is the midpoint of both PY. So here's PY. If Z is the midpoint, that means it cuts it in half, 2 congruent segments. Okay, it's also saying that Z is the midpoint of XQ, meaning that chunk is congruent to that chunk. Okay, so reason for additional marks there, I would just say definition of midpoint. Okay, and then one more thing that hopefully is getting pretty obvious at this point, vertical angles. Those 2 angles there are congruent. So XZY is congruent to PZQ. So there you would want to write vertical angles are congruent. All right, at that point, I think it's looking pretty obvious. We have side, angle, side, and side, angle, side. All right, so now we just have to make sure that we're going in the correct order when doing our congruency statement. Right side, angle side up here first. So X, Y, Z was the way that it was written originally. So X, Y, Z. So we went this way, this way, this way. So QPA with the triangle sign. Okay, and you can always double check those. So we want to just verify, is XY the same as QP? Here's XY, we could give it 3 marks. And here's QP. Yes, it has 3 marks. So looking pretty good on that one. All right, that's all I got for that one. So go ahead and practice and let me know if you have any questions as you're going through those.